Alone, I stand as an individual, facing the thrashing waves of life, buffeted by the winds of fatigue, discouragement, anxiety, disappointment, and fear. Together, we are community. We support and encourage, comfort and challenge each other as we join together to share the love of God and make the world a better place for everyone. We are a faith family. We are the church together. Alone, as one church, we are limited by our numbers, our dollars, our geography, and our imagination. We minister faithfully in our time and place, but sometimes we face the same waves and wind as individuals: anxiety, disappointment, and fear. Together, we are the Central Pacific Conference, a covenant community. We voluntarily come together to do the things that are difficult or impossible for us to do by ourselves. We join together with our diverse gifts and perspectives. Together, we are the body of Christ. The conference is a separate and unique setting of ministry with its own role in the wider church. What are these things that we do together? What are the essential functions of the Central Pacific Conference? I'll name them for you. Authorization for ministry, search and call, covenant connection, conference outdoor ministries and youth, prophetic ministry, mission and service, congregational vitality, pastoral care. Financial support for the work of the Central Pacific Conference comes from our churches and members. Most dollars come through voluntary contributions to OCWM, our church's wider mission. Congregations also contribute per capita dollars to help cover conference administrative costs and support our education ministry. Our conference budget receives supplementary support through the interest received from endowment funds and from our friends of the conference. The 2014 budget details the anticipated income and expenses for the coming year. But we've been talking about another way to view the conference budget. Instead of approving line items, we can look at the dollars we spend through the lens of the ministry accomplished. We don't just cover utilities or insurance or pay salaries for a secretary, administrator, and conference minister. Our staff and our overhead expenses are for the purpose of doing ministry. Add up the hours worked and overhead dollars spent carrying out the essential functions of the Central Pacific Conference, and here's how your contributions are distributed to support the work of the Central Pacific Conference. Authorization for ministry is 13% of the budget. Search and call, 6%. Covenant connection, 45%. Outdoor ministry and youth, 13%. Prophetic ministry, 4%. Mission and service, 5%. Congregational vitality, 9%. Pastoral care, 5%. Authorization for ministry is 13% of the conference budget. Guiding students through seminary and study to ordination, helping clergy switch to the United Church of Christ from other denominations, maintaining standards of excellence in ministry, and dealing with issues of clergy misconduct are all difficult or impossible for local churches to do alone. Search and call is 6% of the conference budget. Searching for a new pastor after a resignation or retirement is a transition time that can include anxiety, anger, fear, or grief. At this time, the leadership of the church is often most open to the assistance of the conference. Finding the right minister to partner with the congregation continues to be a critical issue. Covenant connection is 45% of the conference budget. In the UCC, we pride ourselves on our covenant relationship. When we come together for annual meeting, we experience what it's like to be part of the body of Christ. In our local settings, we aren't able to be Christian by ourselves. By definition, the term is community-oriented. In the same way, we can't be church by ourselves. We need other congregations to support our church, challenge us, and join us in ministry. The Central Pacific Conference works to maintain a covenant connection on multiple levels, between clergy, between churches of the conference, and between the churches and the national setting of the UCC. The function of covenant connection can be viewed as 4 different components. Covenant connection within the Central Pacific Conference is supported by 13% of the total budget. Our conference minister frequently visits our CPC churches to preach or share in celebrations. He regularly joins in clergy cluster gatherings. Our staff also support our covenant connection through meeting planning and management and maintaining the CPC directory. Covenant connection with the national and conference settings of the United Church of Christ is supported by 26% of the total budget. The Central Pacific Conference passes along 25% of our OCWM dollars to the national setting to support the programmatic and prophetic ministries of the United Church of Christ. Conference representatives have served on national covenanted ministries. Biannually, we send delegates to the UCC General Synod to guide the work of the denomination. As a conference, we contribute dollars to support the work of the Council of Conference Ministers and the UCC's newly established General Council, and annually collect data for the UCC yearbook. Our conference minister attends annual consultations with church leaders and meets yearly with Western Region Conference Minister colleagues. Covenant connection with ecumenical and interfaith partners is supported by 2% of the total budget. Our conference supports the work of Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon with dollars and people. Our conference minister meets monthly with ecumenical colleagues at the EMO Bishops and Executives Luncheon. Covenant connection through communication technology, including our e-newsletter On the Way, and our conference website is supported by 4% of the total budget. Electronic communications are important and time-consuming. The CPC staff, including the conference minister and webmaster, work to support a website and Facebook presence, as well as connecting directly to members through On the Way and MailChimp updates. Conference Outdoor Ministries and Youth Program is 13% of the conference budget. Maintaining a camp and offering youth retreats is also something that is difficult or impossible for all but the largest of our churches. In a conference-wide program of camping and retreats, we offer opportunities for our members to experience the body of Christ in a new and powerful way. Prophetic ministry is 4% of the conference budget. The Central Pacific Conference is a prophetic presence in public settings, speaking in support of positions that have been affirmed by delegates to our annual gathering or generally voiced by our local churches. The CPC can also speak prophetically to our churches, urging them to demonstrate the extravagant welcome of Jesus and to give evidence that they do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. Micah 6:8. Mission and service is 5% of the conference budget. Through our partnership with the UCC in the Philippines and CPC mission trips, the conference offers all church members the opportunity to join in global mission and service, widening our experience of loving our neighbor as ourselves. Congregational vitality is 9% of the conference budget. Congregations turn to the CPC for resources and inspiration for worship, education, stewardship, and mission. The ability of conferences to provide this kind of resource has diminished over the years as funding and staffing have declined, but it is still part of the relationship between the CPC and churches. Pastoral care is 5% of the conference budget. The CPC, often in the figure of the conference minister, provides pastoral care for both ministers and churches. Pastoral care can include support, encouragement, and challenge. Clergy often lead a lonely life. Schedules are busy, friendships with church members are complicated, and contact with colleagues is often infrequent. The conference minister is often able to provide care for clergy and their families. When there is an accident, illness, or death, the CM can be a pastoral presence. In covenant relationship, the clergy and churches also offer pastoral care to each other, especially when the role of the conference minister is complicated by conflicting responsibilities as placement officer, conflict mediator, and staff support for ministerial authorization and discipline. Our 2014 budget will support the essential functions of the Central Pacific Conference in the coming year. For this reason, we can say with enthusiasm, we have faith in our Central Pacific Conference. God is still speaking.